What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one? Or it could be if it wanted to.
People from South London. It really doesn't matter where you go on the planet, period. They are there. I'm telling you. I remember going to Iron Napa and I remember them calling out like the ends from London. And literally, it felt like the whole of South London was in Iron Napa at the time. It doesn't matter where you go. You could be in Kent in a little house party and South London are there. I don't know. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know if they've got some sort of teleportation device up in Lewisham. Just let the rest of the Londoners know how you're getting to these motives so quick. You could be in Birmingham, South London's there. Best believe it. I bet there's some South Londoners watching this now and they're not in South London. They're up in some shindig in a motive somewhere at the end. So repping. We love you, South London.
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one?
Okay.
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one? Or it could be if it wanted to.
Tik Tok.
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one?
Travel baseball.
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one? Or it could be if it wanted to.
Travel softball. Travel softball.
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one?
I don't know, I can't really think. The One Direction fandom. If anyone, and I mean anyone, says anything negative about one of the boys, they will, we will hunt you down. We will find you, and we will.
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one? Or it could be if it wanted to.
So, I was raised in a cult, you know, quirky things. So my opinion actually has a lot of weight here. For the longest time, I couldn't pinpoint why exactly I stayed in my high school student government class when they didn't really treat me that great. I didn't really have friends in that class till much, much later on. And it was because it was like a cult. It 100% was so much like a cult. Looking back on it, like, people even was like, oh my god, student government's like a cult or something, and I didn't really take it seriously. But now I'm like, oh my god, that's why I liked it. Because the beginning of high school was actually like right around when I got out of the cult, so I was like, oh, I just jumped right into another one.
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one?
Farmers markets. Every Sunday, my parents dress in all white and go to a farmer's market. And I always thought this was a bit weird, but I decided to go with them this time. And it's pretty normal besides everyone being in all white. But then we get to this stand called Nutty Joseph's, and this 7-foot-tall man comes out, and he looks down at me and goes, "Hello there, aren't you cute?" And I'm like, "Mom, I want to go home." And he's like, "Would you like to try a legume?" And I'm like, "Mom, I want to go home." But she's like, "Yeah, eat one." So I'm like, "Okay, Joey, give me a nut." And he just hands me a handful of acorns. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with these? But then everyone at the farmer's market's staring at me at this point. So I eat one, and then everyone at the farmer's market just shouts, "Nutty Joey strikes again!" And then we've just bought apple cider and left. Does that happen to anybody else?
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one?
The curly girl method. Lord Jesus, give me the grace to survive all the hate I know I'm going to get in the comments section. Before you get your panties too far in a bunch, please understand that I am not talking about the modified method that I see practiced all over the place. Do what works for your hair. No. I'm talking specifically about the instructions laid out by Lorraine Massey in Curly Girl, a Handbook. The OG holy crap, what is this? Curly Girl method. Throw out every bottle that says shampoo. Anything that lathers will never rinse out of your hair. Brushes will destroy your hair forever. And only I, a white woman, can tell every black woman on the face of the planet how to do their own hair. Y'all, the end of the book literally includes a 12-step program for curly girls and includes the instruction that you are never allowed to blow dry or straighten your hair ever again. And I'm just scratching the surface. There is so much more where all of that came from. Yeah, no, I'm out.
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one? Or it could be if it wanted to.
Genshin Impact players, need I say any more?
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one?
Trump supporters? And let me tell you why.
First off, I highly recommend this book by Stephen Hassan. It's called The Cult of Trump, and he was in a cult, and he talks about all the similarities and the mind control and the things that are similar between the two. Mind-blowing. I also spent 6 months in my college research class writing a long paper about it. The paper is titled Donald Trump, Trump's Cult in Modern Day Politics, and it's about 8 pages long. It's not even similar to a cult. It is one.
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one? Or it could be if it wanted to.
These fucking things. Right here. Honda fucking Groms. What is the fascination with these things? Just to do the speed limit, these things are like maxed out, screaming, but everyone you'll ever meet that has one says they're like the most fun thing that they've ever ridden in their life. I just don't get it. Like, can someone please explain this to me?
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one?
People whose main hobby is keyboards. I built this keyboard on my page a couple weeks ago, and it's technically fully custom, but the means of doing so were a bit unorthodox. Quite obviously a joke, I took the stock blue switches and some WD-40 and lubed them. I still get comments on that video to this day calling me an idiot. I know you're not supposed to do it, but I'm just trying to make fun content. Just like PCs, the keyboard world is intimidating, and I don't know a lot about it. All I can really tell you is this switch is blue and it's got a clicky click jacket. But that's not good enough for these freaks. They come at me in the comments.
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one? Or it could be if it wanted to.
Hands down, it's lesbian TikTok. And I'm allowed to say this because I'm a victim. You start scrolling one night, and you come across somebody and think, damn, that's kind of hot. Am I gay? And you make the mistake of liking it. The algorithm already knows. They start sending you lesbians, and before you know it, you're stuck in the vortex. Now, it's too late for me, so if you can get out, go ahead and do that. Just kidding. If you're watching this part of the video, it means you're already here. So welcome.
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one?
This is not going to make sense if you're not from California or don't understand Bay Area or hyphy culture, but essentially whenever they play specific music, people just go, let me just show you. I catch the bass, then I wipe all the...
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one? Or it could be if it wanted to.
Hey there, have you played the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV? Its free trial includes the base game of A Realm Reborn and its first expansion, Heavensward. You can play hundreds of hours of contents for free.
What's something that's not a cult but borderline seems like one? Or it could be if it wanted to.
Aveda. Everything Aveda. I went to an Aveda school. Fucking cult. Everything about it. Cult. And I really don't care what anybody has to say about it. Trash. 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 I don't know why everybody is on this all natural shit, okay? It's hair. We need chemicals. We need the chemicals. And I don't want all my color made with fucking bark from a tree in West Indy. You know what I mean? Aveda.